In the last few weeks, I've been noticing a lot of my friends making mushrooms out of wood, out of clay, out of all kinds of things. And I thought it might be cute to make a set of mushroom earrings. So I sat down and first off tried to make a mushroom, and it's a little large for an earring, but it told me that, I'm on the right track. Things are working well. I've got a good technique going. So I sat down and made a series of mushroom earrings. That these little guys, these guys, these guys that have all come out pretty good, I thought. So with that in mind, I decided to go ahead and work up a demo for it. And it turns out to be a short demo, but it's kind of a fun little project. And when I showed it to my wife, showed especially these to my wife, she said, "Mine." So I guess it's kind of cute, popular anyway. To do this demo, you need some clay, obviously. It doesn't take a lot. I've got a needle tool, blade. I've got a square cutter. This guy is 3/4 of an inch on its side. A little bit of liquid Sculpey, liquid clay, kind of hold things together. I've got a clay shaped tool with a pointy end on it. Comes in handy now and again. And I've got a container of titanium white acrylic paint and eye pins, obviously. So starting with that, like I say, this is going to be a short demo, so watch carefully. I took the cutter and cut 6 squares out of my sheet of clay. And although this sheet is a solid color, it doesn't have to be. You can marble it. You can do all kinds of things with it. Talk about some of those at the end of the program. I'm just going to make 6 little squares out of it. I made 6 because I need 2 for each earring. So this will be one ear. Those guys will stack up to be the other ear, and these guys end up being the support, the base. Now this gives you an earring roughly this size. These guys started with a little smaller piece of clay. I think I used 1.5 sheets of the clay to start with for this guy instead of one whole one. So if you want smaller, that too works. I'm going to set these guys off the side for a bit. And mashing this together, I've already conditioned the clay so it's fairly soft, easy to work with. And I just kind of working them into a ball. And I want a nice smooth ball. So if you've got features like this on there, you're going to want to rub over the edges and remove them. And for those of you that know or wonder, yes, this is kind of a metallic clay. It's mostly a copper with a little bit of gold mixed into it. I'll lighten that up. Bronze is too dark, the copper was too red, so adding a little gold to the copper came out about the color I was looking for. Once I've got in ball shape, I've been pushing down on the piece and getting a flat base on it, decide how wide I want it and how tall I want it. And it turns out I kind of like a little bit of a bump in the middle. Try to without the bump, it looks okay. This is a mushroom without the bump. This is a mushroom with a bump. And, they both look kind of like mushrooms, but I prefer the little hump in the middle. So that's what I am doing here. You can not put the little hump in the middle if you want. Decide how broad you want him. I tried one where I got a sharp lip on the edge. I did not like that. I decided I really do prefer the rounded lip. I'm going to try to roll this guy a little better shape on him. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, because snow mushroom is. And that's kind of a nice, decent shape. Now, at this point, the bottom's flat. So I took my needle tool, pushed into that bottom just to give him a little bit of a curve there. I don't need a lot, just enough to get it started. And I'm working up towards the edges, so it's indented just a little bit. And I took my needle tool, and this is a very boring part, but I did this just marking lines all the way around that thing, because the bottom of the mushroom does open up and lets the spores out. So you see all this veining and little panels down there. So I decided I really want it to look authentic. I know not all of everyone's mushrooms do, but I'm a little bit picky about making things look right. And I'm holding it with my finger in a way that, hey, well, I've got to hold it on one side just to keep it from moving away, and keeping the other two fingers away from the bump on top. So I come in here and just continue to, yes, it is getting distorted, I know. It happens, and we can adjust that afterwards. Get those, and then I go around one more time, make sure you get up the lines all the way to the edge, just because I'm stickler for that kind of a look. What you do is up to you. And yes, if I was going to mass produce these, I would probably make one of these, make a mold, and then press everything into the mold, so I didn't have to do this all the time. And it would make it a lot faster. But I don't tend to do mass production, and so I don't do that. And see if I can get the camera to focus on that. It's not. You can see I've got striations all the way around that. Nice look. I'm going to come back in, and I don't want to mess up the bottom, so I'm going to very carefully reshape the top. And yes, this is going to be a very short demo. I've got the top. I'm going to take this piece and roll it into a log. The base is always basically a log, a stick. Decide how thick I want him. And if I look at that, yeah, it's kind of okay. Now, I tend to make my mushrooms a little thinner towards the top and fatter towards the bottom. In fact, I found what I'm doing is actually pushing them down on my tile and making the bottom flare out a bit. Again, that's as I look at what I'm doing and what I like, that is the one that looks kind of right. But I haven't done it well with this one. So what I'm going to do is roll it just a little off that flare point and get it smooth out a bit. Come on. Be nice. Don't mess up on my demo. Now I'm going to put him down there. Okay, now he's looking like what I wanted to look like. I can come in, decide, I think that's too long. I'm going to cut him off a little bit. And I like that. That's a nice height for the mushroom. So that's how tall he's going to be. I'm then going to take an eye pin. And when I was mentioning things you need, I forgot to mention that we need some jewelry tools. I'm going to take an eye pin. And just to make sure I keep it steady, I'm going to put him in my needle nose pliers. Find the middle of this guy, what I think is the middle of this guy, and pull it down through there. Poke it all the way through, well through. A little bit of it in this fellow. We've got a good connection there. Now I'm going to take it off because I just want to get things started at this point. This is the connection here is weak. And so I found that putting just a little bit of liquid Sculpey in there before I bake it, a little bit on that guy, really does help things get where they work. I'm looking at this, trying to decide how far down from the pin I want the mushroom to be. And then I'm going to take my cutters and cut off the base right about, another quarter of an inch or so below that point. Make sure you hold both pieces when you cut. You don't want the piece of metal flying across the room and hitting somebody. I'm going to take this guy and put him, we got a lot of liquid clay on there. Somewhere in there is I overdid the liquid clay. We'll try that again. Okay. Get a little bit closer when I do this. There it is. That's how we started. Push everything together. Messed up the base a bit, so we're going to clean that guy up. Put him back the way I wanted him to be. Reshape him here and there. And it doesn't need to be perfect. I'm going to take this tool and I just press around the connection between the bottom of the mushroom and the stalk, trying to get a better seal there, trying to not mess things up too much from what they were. And I will take this guy at this point and bake him in the oven. And he will, and actually the way I'm going to bake him is on a set of cotton that I have got sitting right here at hand. Things tend to run away from me. I'm doing this, and it has run away from me. But I've got a box full of cotton balls that I will be setting him on to bake. And he will bake that way. So you can embellish this in a lot of ways. Obviously, with this one, this is the lace cane I made some time ago. I cut a thin sheet of it. It actually looks like this. Probably can't see that against the white tile. But if if I put it against something a little solid, you can see it's nice. It's a nice lace cane that I made some time ago. I'm going to use it for a lot of off and on now and again, whenever I think it might be appropriate. And it gets a different look for the top of the mushroom. Or you can use acrylic paint, put little dots on the top of the mushroom, because there are mushrooms that have dots on them, and dots on the mushroom tend to be a nice thing right now. To do that, I've taken a ball stylus, and that is a very tiny ball on that stylus. Let me get this out of the way. And my titanium white paint. And I just barely dip the stylus into the paint. A little paint on there. And touch this guy in a few locations. Pick up some more paint. Touch you in a few places, more paint. There's no order to this. You just do it. Feels okay. That guy's going to get cleaned up just a little bit because that was a little too much of a blob on there. To do that, I can come in with a toothpick or a needle tool or some fine point. Just scrape that guy a little. Okay, I will use a blade. I want to scrape down to the surface. Well, isn't that a hoot? That's not coming off. So we try it. There, he's off. So that guy down there, but that can always replace him. Okay, now I need to put those two back on there. So a little more paint. That's one there, one there, one there. That one's a little weak, so boost him. One up there. Now I've got mushroom with dots on him. I can just let that dry in the air, and he will come out nice. Now, I've done this with solid colors. I have considered doing it with marbled colors. That would give me a texture on the earrings, make them look a little different, a little variation. I haven't done that yet. I will probably do that later today and maybe add that to the video. But that said, that's all I was intending to do. Again, this guy actually stand up by himself. I'm probably going to put a little bit of a green base down there. I have a mushroom coming out of it because the green base will make him more stable. He does tend to fall over. He's not overly stable right now. But hope you enjoyed the video, and I will, like I said, I may add something to the end of this and see how that goes. I meant to mention while I was doing this that I do, once I've got the mushroom assembled, and I take the earring, the ear wire out, put just a little bit of super glue on it, and then reinsert it. Okay, that's got a little super glue on it, and then I put it back in carefully. Here we go. And that way, I know it's going to stay in. But it's not really a tight fit. Also, a few minutes ago, I decided that I would try the mottled or marble. So I took some light copper and gold and swirled them, and I'm beginning to think I kind of like that look. Not sure how well it show up on camera, but it's kind of a nice and different look. So I'll just show you that that's worth trying sometime. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy the video.